Hi everyone, welcome back to Half Magic Tarot. Today's pick a card reading is what will your life be like 1 year from now? This is a timeless reading, so whenever you're watching this, even if it's later than when I initially put it out, it should apply to how your life will be 1 year from the time of you watching this. So there are 4 piles to choose from, and I suggest selecting your pile based on the pile marker that sparks a memory in you. So for example, I would choose pile 4, the mentor, because the owl on this card reminds me of when I went to an owl cafe in Japan. I had so much fun with my family. So feel free to pause the video now to select your pile. I'll put the timestamps in the description down below. Let's get started. If you selected pile 1, the tier, welcome to your reading. Let's see what your life is going to be like 1 year from now. So the first thing I'm getting is that right now you're really in this energy of kind of overworking or overcommitting yourself. And that's coming through in the 10 of Wands. You can see if you look at the imagery on this card, this person is carrying 10 brooms up like a steep hill or a mountain, and they look really exhausted. And this represents the energy that you're in, and honestly the energy that I think you're going to continue to be in, at least for the next few months of the year ahead. This probably has to do with your work. So this could be that you are someone who is like a workaholic, or you're really putting in a lot of long hours. If you're a student, you're really studying very hard, but you just feel exhausted. Maybe you're working multiple jobs. Maybe you're going to school and you're working a job. Maybe you have a family to take care of. And I really think for most of you, this does relate to kind of that material world. But for some of you, this could be specifically about certain relationships you have in your life. So it could be with a romantic partner or maybe a family member where you feel like you are the one carrying all the emotional burden, or you're doing all the labor to make this relationship work. But either way, this is a card about overextending yourself. You are someone who takes on a lot of responsibility. You know, someone asks you to do something, maybe you have a hard time saying no. You feel like you need to complete all of this stuff in order to achieve what you want or have the kind of relationship that you desire. And you have a really hard time allowing yourself to accept help from other people, or knowing how to maybe prioritize, okay, this is what I can just say no to. And I get that. Maybe you have people-pleasing tendencies. Maybe you are someone who had to be very like hyper independent growing up, especially. Maybe you were like a parentified child, and so you've always had to take care of yourself. You don't want to have to rely on someone else or put certain aspects of your life or your well-being. Or maybe you feel like you have to audition to prove your worth in several different areas of your life, whether that be at work or in your personal relationships, whatever. But I think this is a pattern that you have been experiencing for a long time in your life. And with the Queen of Wands in reverse next to this, this is you just feeling completely burnt out. Queen of Wands upright usually is this very like fun, flirtatious, sexy, empowered card. But in reverse, this is like someone who is just completely drained, completely burned out. They don't feel like what they're doing is ever enough. There's like a lack of self-confidence here. And this could even extend to maybe your health or your physical well-being. Maybe you really don't feel like attractive anymore. Maybe you're in a lot of pain. Like, I know a lot of people, if they're really stressed out, it will flare up in their like autoimmune system. So it could be that you even experience like some health setbacks because of the amount of stress that you're putting on yourself. But it also feels like, because you reach this point where you're so burnt out, you kind of you needed to hit that rock bottom in order to have the clarity that something needs to change. And I think that's really coming through in the card in the middle of your spread here, which is this 5 of Cups. And the 5 of Cups If you look at the imagery on the card, it's this person who's on the ground. She's crying. She's got 3 spilled cups in front of her. It's the 5 of cups, right? There's only 3 spilled. And if you look, there's 2 cups that are still full sitting on the table behind her. But she's sitting there crying over these 3 spilled ones. So she hasn't even thought that, oh, I still have 2 left. And so it feels like, you reach this breaking point where you're just so exhausted and drained physically and mentally, whether it's from this job, from just juggling so many responsibilities, from maybe feeling like you're putting all of the effort into your relationship with a particular person and not getting anything back, that it makes you kind of snap. And the 5 of Cups is this card that's about grieving the loss of something until you feel like you can get over it and move on, because like I said, there's those 2 cups sitting behind you. There is something still waiting there for you, but you have to get done crying, you have to get done mourning, and then you got to get up and turn around and decide to resume. It looks like she's having a party in this card. She's got balloons and a picnic basket. So when you get over whatever it is, this loss, and decide to pick yourself back up, there is still beauty, there is still good things waiting for you on the other side. And that's really what the universe wants to relay to you, is that you are in this situation right now where you are overextending yourself and you feel like you have to, but there is going to come a point where you physically cannot anymore, or you just can't handle it, and you're really going to have to cry it out. It's not going to be like fun for a while. This is going to be something that's really difficult for you. For example, if this is a job, I'm getting like The Devil Wears Prada, like, the main character in that, Andy, she is like kind of passionate about the job. Like, she wants to do really well at it. She's putting in all of this effort to the point where it's like impacting her personal life, her personal relationships. But she also thinks that it's like worth it, like, because it's putting her on the path to achieve these other dreams that she has. And, this feels like almost the end, when she's like, actually, I don't think that if I were to continue on this path, like, I just don't think it's worth it to live this way, even if it does present me opportunities, because it's not good for my health or my like personal relationships, or it's not really aligning with the kind of person I want to be. Which again, people have their own takes on the relationships of The Devil Wears Prada, but that's kind of the moral, right? And so it feels like something similar, where you're working so hard because this is something that you cherish or you value, or almost you want to like prove to yourself that you're worthy of having these things that you're working so hard for. But it's just not aligning. Like, what's the point in putting in all this work to, I don't know, make a good amount of money if you can't even enjoy it because you're so stressed out and you're working all the time? And it doesn't have to be about the job. Maybe it is a job. Maybe you really thought you were going to enjoy this career, and you do on some level, but it's just so exhausting, and you're like, I need something that is going to like give me more work-life balance. If you're in school, maybe same thing. You're like, I just don't think this is like the correct path for me, even though this is something I'm passionate about. Maybe I know that this is not going to be really like promising for me career-wise. Or if it's a relationship, you're like, I really love this person, I care about this person, and I want to be there for them, but I can't continue to be there for them when it means betraying myself. And so there is this realization that happens within the next year where you kind of have this breaking point where you decide, I have to leave this behind. I have to. And it's going to be difficult, like, to be transparent, but the good news is, if you look at the way this card is positioned, like I said, she's looking to the left at these spilled cups and she's really upset, she's sad. But to the right, where those 2 cups are hidden behind her, this is what you have to look forward to once you get over that grieving period. We have the Knight of Cups, which is a really beautiful card in tarot because it's this card that's all about creativity, passion, renewed, interest in life. It's romanticizing your life even. So I feel like once you get over this loss or having to cut this job, this situation, this person loose, you're going to realize, oh, wait, I'm actually so much happier now. I have so much more room to like be kind to myself and be exploratory and find new things. And with the moon at the very end of your spread, I don't think that you're going to have everything like 100% figured out by the end of next year or by a year from now, because the moon is this card that's about things that are kind of like hidden. But you are getting there one step at a time. Like I always kind of think of the moon card as if you were walking on a path at night, and all you have is the moonlight. You might be able to see like a few steps in front of you at a time, but you're not really going to know what's at the end of the path until you get there. And so that's kind of the trajectory you're on. You're following your heart, you're following your passion, you're following your creativity, and you're having fun in the process. It's really about you starting to enjoy the journey more instead of really prioritizing like the destination. And I think this is a really big mindset shift for you. And I think that really also coincides with the pile marker that you selected, the tear, which really goes to that Five of Cups. The tear, you think of like crying. And on the Five of Cups, this person's crying on the card. But the tear is this card about catharsis and release. When we allow ourselves to cry, when we allow ourselves to show emotion, when we allow ourselves to mourn, that's kind of the first step into accepting, loss or frustration or whatever it is, and being able to turn that into something more positive. It's really being able to listen to your emotions, listen to your body, and then find out what you need mentally, emotionally, physically based on that. And that's going to be a really big shift for you in the next year, is really paying more attention to what you need for your mental health, for your body, and allowing yourself to just really enjoy the day-to-day instead of prioritizing some distant future. And I think a lot of people have this problem where we think, okay, if I just do X, Y, and Z for however long, and I just really lock in, then in the future, I can have a nice time or I can have fun. But your life is right now. You can still have fun in the meantime. You can still live a beautiful life even while you are working to accomplish your goals. There's no sense in postponing living a good life or having new experiences or being happy until you feel like you've earned it. Because a lot of the times when we have that mindset, you're never going to feel like you've reached a point where you earned it. You're going to get close to that goal, or you're going to reach whatever goal you have. And then you're going to be like, well, actually, maybe I need to do this and this. You're going to be on a never-ending chase of like self-optimization to the point where you are going to put all your eggs in a basket for your future self. And the thing about the future is that it's never right now. So, I think this is going to be really like a huge year of this like mental clarity and growth for you. And, that's not to say that you will be like destitute if this is about giving up a job. I don't think that you're going to be, if it's about giving up a relationship, I don't think you're going to be lacking love in your life. Even if it's not romantic love, I think you still have a lot of opportunities for success. I think you are very well supported by the people around you and the universe. And I think that's also coming through in the tea leaf fortune cards I got as clarifiers for this. So the first one is money path, and it says a path with money is waiting for you to find it. So that's why I think for most of you, this is kind of about your job and your career. So if you give up something, if you've been working really hard because you're like, I have to work really hard at this job because it pays me so well, how can I give this up? If you reach that breaking point where you are so burned out where you're like, I really can't do this anymore, you might, more than loss of that job, or you might have to take a pay cut. But I don't think you're going to be, in poverty. Like, you still have options. You're going to be fine. And even if this is not about a job, I think this is kind of like symbolic of wealth. So if it's, you giving up a relationship where you're putting on all the work and you feel like you're not getting anything in return, this is saying, just take a step at a time. There's still treasures to be found. There is still beauty. There is still things that are very valuable, people that will be valuable in your life that are waiting on this path. You just have to keep moving forward. And your second tea leaf fortune card is Basket. This says recognition and reward for merit. So again, I think this is people recognizing like all the work you've put in, everything that you've done, whether that is at this job, or in a relationship. And I think this really almost comes like after you leave. I think maybe because you make everything look so easy, people kind of take for granted how much effort and how much work you put in. And so then it's like once you exit the job or once you exit the relationship, that the people that were working at the job or the person you were in a relationship with is going to be like, whoa, they were actually doing so much for us or for me or whatever. And now there's kind of like this void. Like I didn't even realize because they made it look so easy. But I think you're going to hear positive feedback, and you will still get positive feedback once you pivot and you decide to go on this new path. That is far less stressful. Like people will still acknowledge that you are capable and smart, kind, like a good worker or a smart person or a good partner, whatever it is, even if you are not like being self-sacrificial. Like you do not have to overextend yourself for people to see how valuable you are. And I think, again, that's going to be a really big lesson for you. So this feels like, yes, I think you are kind of quitting something or deciding to shift away from something, which is probably a job or a career path or something like that. But this really feels more like a mental transition. And I think it's going to be one that's going to be really valuable to your like life philosophy. Like this is going to really impact how you live your life. And I think you're going to choose to actually live in the present, which is beautiful. So congrats to you, my pile one. Viewers, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you again soon. Take care. If you selected pile 2, the vow, welcome to your reading. Let's find out what your life will be like 1 year from now. So this is a really interesting reading. We're starting off your spread with this Knight of Wands and the Knight of Swords. And if you look at the body language on these two cards, they're facing away from each other. And the Knight of Wands and the Knight of Swords do have a lot in common. They're both knights, first of all, so this is kind of equal playing field. But they're both very passionate about what they care about, but they're passionate in different ways. The Knight of Swords can be very cutthroat, very much like my way or the highway. I sometimes see this as the mansplainer card, and it's also someone who can be emotionally detached. Whereas the Knight of Wands, their passion comes across as very creative, very social. This is someone who wants to share joy and abundance and, what they're interested in. Which is not to say that the Knight of Wands doesn't have negative qualities also, but I think in this particular reading, this to me is coming across as you being the Knight of Wands and someone else in your life being the Knight of Swords. And this is someone who is most likely a friend. I'm not getting necessarily like a romantic partner, although it could be. And this doesn't feel like it's someone who has any kind of like power over you or you have power over them. So, for example, I don't think this is a boss. I don't think this is a parent or a child or maybe someone that you supervise at work or, like a teacher or a student. Again, this feels very level playing field here, but it just feels like there is an incongruence in the values between you and this person. So for most of you, again, I do think this is a friend, and maybe your passion is what initially attracted you to each other and kind of established the friendship. But it does feel like this person, because they are very my way or the highway, ends up within the next year kind of betraying you. And, it doesn't even have to be something huge, but I do feel like they end up lying about something, and that comes through in this Page of Swords in reverse. Because the Page of Swords upright is this card that can really indicate clarity. And so in reverse, it's kind of muddledness. And the Page of Swords is also about very clear communication. So it feels like this person is not communicating something to you. They're maybe lying to you about something. They're lying by omission. And whatever it is, I think that you kind of have this gut instinct that what they're telling you is not the truth or the whole truth. And that's coming with this High Priestess, which is a card all about trusting that gut feeling and trusting your intuition. And so if you already have an inclination of, who this person is, and maybe you already have an idea that they're lying to you about something, this hunch that you have is most likely correct. And with the Seven of Wands at the end, it does feel like you two end up going your separate ways. You end up kind of cutting the cord with this person because you don't want to tolerate this kind of mischievousness or the sneakiness, whatever it is that they're doing behind your back. And so you're turned the other way, and you're going in the path of this Knight of Wands, which is someone who is going towards joy and fun and creativity. And so, you are still moving on a positive path without this person. Whereas this person, I think, can be someone who damages their relationships pretty easily because they can get very stuck in their own mental limitations. Like, this is someone who maybe has a hard time maintaining their relationships because they see things in a very black and white way, and they're not really willing to look at things objectively. Whereas the Knight of Wands, which is the energy that you're coming in from, is this very jovial, generous energy. And so it feels like you are going to continue to have new experiences and have a lot of fun even after you cut this person out of your life. And I'm not saying that it won't be painful, because probably this is someone that is close to you. This is someone whose friendship you have valued. And so I think it is, painful for you at first to lose this person. But ultimately, with the Seven of Wands at the end of your spread, I think this really shows you how resilient and strong you can be, because the Seven of Wands is this card about feeling like you have a lot of obstacles against you, but ultimately coming out on top. It's a card all about resilience. And if you look at the imagery of this card, it's 7 hands pointing their wands at this witch on the card. And she looks a little scared. She looks a little cornered, but the message of the card is that she has a higher ground. She comes out successful. So even though this is kind of a difficult breakup, and for most of you, they would think it's friendship, but it could be a romantic partner, I think that you kind of needed this to show yourself how easily you can rise above this kind of conflict. It feels like you're really able to look at this objectively in a way that the other party involved in this rift is not. And because of that, you come out on top, and you end up finding new ways, new ideas, new activities, new people to keep you entertained. Like, you're like, I can have a beautiful life even if this person is not in it. And I think that's beautiful. So it doesn't feel like there's a huge change. It really just feels like you have this mental clarity of, I'm not going to let anyone hold me back. I'm not going to hold on to people who are maybe not good for me anymore. I'm going to continue to make joy even if I have to do it alone. And I think that's really reflected in the pile marker that you selected also. The vow, which usually when someone thinks of a vow, they think of wedding vows. It's this unspoken promise you have to another person, an idea. And so this is about re-examining, what are you promising yourself to? You don't have to stay loyal to this person if they're not loyal to you. you can be loyal to yourself. You can take a vow to live a beautiful life, to try new things, to have novel experiences, whatever it is. And so I think that's kind of your call to action for the next year, is to continue to have fun and don't sweat relationships that are no longer aligned with your higher self. And with the tea leaf fortune cards I pulled, I think these kind of reiterate that point. The first one we have is dolphin, and that says financial gain usually coming from something you did in the past. And so this doesn't really feel like much of a financial reading. I mean, maybe for some of you, you do come into money, you're a little bit richer by the end of the next year, within a year, but this feels more like personal gain to me, that, you know, the work that you put into yourself and into knowing what you want to accept in your relationships is going to allow you to continue to thrive. And I think, not that we're wishing ill on anyone, but I think that by the end of the year, it's going to be clear that this person has kind of burned all their bridges and you're thriving. And so I think the difference there is that you have learned to look at things objectively, to look at things without ego. And that's going to be what's really helpful in your ability to come out of this unscathed and to continue to live like a beautiful, exciting life. Second card we got here is Ram, which says a stubborn, aggressive person. So to me, that goes with that Knight of Swords. This is this person that you're going to have some kind of breakup with. They could be an Aries or have a prominent Aries placement in their natal chart. That would be their sun sign, moon sign, rising sign, or Venus sign. I'm also getting Gemini here. Again, sun, moon, rising, Venus. So that is kind of your hint of who this person could be. But like I said with the High Priestess card, I do think you kind of have an intuitive knowledge of who this person is and why the relationship maybe is not working any longer. But, if this is like your best friend and you're afraid of letting this person go because you think you're going to be alone or you're going to have no one to hang out with, just know that standing up for yourself and not allowing this person to walk over you or like emotionally invalidate you, or make you feel bad for, not sharing their views or whatever it is, you taking that step to establish the boundaries for yourself is going to give you the push to continue to live a life that is authentic to who you want to be. And I think ultimately that's going to be a really big gift for you. I think your life's going to look a lot different, but in little ways, like who you hang out with, but you're still going to be having fun. You don't need to worry about, will I still have friends? Will I still have activities to do? Will I still be able to have things that I'm excited about? You will, I promise. You will, even without this person. So I think overall this is a pretty good reading. This is about cutting out people who no longer align with you and continuing to have fun and grow. So I think this is going to be a very fun next year for you. So congratulations to you, my Pile 2 viewers. Thank you for watching and take care. If you selected Pile 3, Eros, welcome to your reading. Let's find out what your life is going to look like a year from now. So we start off your spread with the 3 of Swords. And what I'm getting from this is that you are either currently or about to be going through a heartbreak. And if you're about to be going through a heartbreak, I think you probably already sense this. So if you're in a relationship, for example, you might kind of recognize that it's not going that well. You're having some issues. It seems like it's just not working. But that's just for some of you. I think for a lot of you, maybe you have been in this heartbreak or breakup mode, or you've just generally had like very unpleasant romantic experiences in the past. The 3 of Swords is, as I said, this card about heartbreak. But the kind of positive spin on the Three of Swords is that you're aware that the pain is there. You're aware that it's not working, and the only way to really overcome that is to embrace the pain, embrace the heartache. And that's depicted in the imagery on this card. On the bed, there is a journal, and there is spilled ink and like a feather quill pen. So, even though it hurts, this does feel like something you're processing. So if you're still in the relationship, maybe you're already like gearing up for the breakup. Like, you're not happy. But the good news is a year from now, I think you are going to be very happy in your love life. We have the Sun next, and the Sun is a card that is all about brightness. I mean, clearly the sun brings light, and if you even just look side by side with the Three of Swords and the Sun card, they're like opposites. The Three of Swords, if you look outside the window in that card, it's dark, it's gloomy, it's raining, there's no sun in sight. And then in the Sun, everything's blooming, everything's bright, everything's fun. And so there is this like a 180 in your love life where suddenly you feel like you have so much clarity, you feel like you're having so much more fun. And I think that's the really big distinction here, because the Sun is the card of ultimate happiness. Like, I think it's the best card to get in basically any tarot reading, but it's not necessarily like grandiose happiness. Like, it's not saying, someone's gonna come into your life and give you $100,000 and take you on like all expenses paid vacation, and then while you're there, you're going to meet I don't know who's a celebrity that people thirst after. You're going to meet Connor Story, and he's gonna fall in love with you. It's not like that. It's not like this kind of far-fetched. The Sun, it's almost like a spiritual practice, like being able to be really happy and satisfied with the small things. Just like having ice cream on a hot day, being able to have a phone call with one of your friends. But in a relationship in particular, it's just you really enjoying your partner's presence and everything that you have to offer. You just have so much fun together. There's so much laughter, there's so much joy. And there's a lot of thoughtfulness. You don't really have to guess where you stand emotionally with this person. And the card in the middle of your spread is Justice, which to me kind of just reiterates the point of these two cards, because Justice is this card that's all about restoring balance. And you can see the person on this card's holding a scale, and it's got a black cat and a white cat, and it's evened out. So, all this heartbreak that you've been through, all of this maybe unfair treatment, the confusion in your past romantic relationship, this is all going to be corrected. And this could happen to you around Libra season, which would be like late September, early October. So this could be the time when you meet this person, but this is a timeless reading. So if you're not watching it when I release it, this is just subjective. But Justice is this card that is like a Libra card, and Libra is a Venus ruled sign. Venus obviously associated with love, but it's also associated with fairness. And so I think that there is a diplomacy to this relationship that you will be in a year from now that maybe you've been missing in your previous relationships. Like, this person's very fair, they're very objective. If you get into an argument, this is not someone who's going to just yell. They're really going to try to see it from your side. Like, in this relationship, your next partner is not going to see any disagreement that you have as being like my side versus your side. They're going to be like, we're on the same side. We both want this to work. So how can we come to a conclusion or an agreement based on that? And with the Five of Pentacles next in your spread, the Five of Pentacles is an interesting card, because most of the time it's really seen as very negative, because it's this card that's about poverty. But a lot of times when I see it come up in romantic readings, I see it as someone who's really willing to stick by you through thick and thin. Because if you look at this card, it's these two people walking through the snow together. They're cold. They look like, they ain't got any money. But they're still together. Like, they are sticking by each other. And that's not going to say that you're destitute or that you're going to go through super hard times. But I think maybe one of the issues in your previous romantic relationships is that the person or the people you were dating just could not handle any, like, conflict. Like, let's say you lived with your last romantic partner and they kept spending all of their half of the rent money on, random stuff. And it left you feeling like you were being, used financially. And they would argue with you and say that you were like tripping or being controlling or whatever. And it just felt like, the burden of any hard times was placed on you. And it doesn't have to be financial specifically. It could even be something like maybe you had a sick parent and you just felt like your last partner wasn't there for you emotionally. This is saying that your new partner, the one that you're going to be in a relationship with a year from now, is going to stick by your side. They're going to be there for you even when it's not all like the sun, even when it's not really easy and blissful, because this person values you so much. I just heard the song Summer Girl by Haim, which it's a good song if you haven't listened to it, but the premise of the song is that one of the girls in Haim was dating this guy and he ended up getting cancer. So she wrote this song to kind of be like, I want to be the light in your life. I want to make it feel like summer for you. I want to make you feel like the sun is shining even though you're going through this really rough period. And I think that is what your future partner is going to be like. And again, I don't think that necessarily you will have like epic lows, but this is more saying like you don't have to worry about this person ditching you if life gets hard. And with Judgment as the final card in your spread here, this person definitely could be your soulmate. This could be your person, because Judgment is kind of like your life calling, your life purpose. And so you are definitely fated to be with this partner that you are going to be with within the next year. They could be a Scorpio or have a prominent Scorpio placement in their natal chart. That would be their sun sign, moon sign, rising sign, or Venus sign. But I think generally you feel very called to this person, and it feels easy. It feels light to be in this relationship. You might hear like a lot of songs leading up to you meeting this person or coming into union with this person that make you feel really happy or optimistic about love. Or you might bond with this person over music. I got karaoke just now too, so maybe you meet them at a karaoke night or your first date you do karaoke together, whatever it is. But there is a definite lightness to this connection, even though it is very solid. And I think that's coming through also in the pile marker that you selected, Eros. And Eros is all about the call to desire. It's reconnecting with what you want, allowing yourself to fall in love, to feel lust, to really enjoy being in the moment, being in your body, and being present with another person. And I think that is the vibe of this whole relationship. I think it's just going to feel so easy. It's going to just click. It's not going to feel like you have to fight for it. It's going to come naturally to you and this person that you're going to be in a relationship with. And with your first tea leaf fortune card, we got flute, which says disappointment in a friend or lover. And so this to me goes to that first card, the Three of Swords. Like I said, I think for some of you, you might be in a relationship right now and you already feel kind of disappointed in this person or like it's not working out. For others of you, maybe you are just jaded by the idea of romantic love in general, or you are jaded by your last relationship. But this is the energy that you are going to be moving out of as you get closer to this person that you're going to be in a relationship with a year from now. And that's being reflected in the second tea leaf fortune card we got, which is horseshoe, and it says good luck. So this to me is that good luck and love. Also, the horseshoe is kind of reminiscent of a boomerang. It's like, everything that leaves comes back. So you might feel like you have lost in love. You might feel like, will I ever get to experience the kind of love I want? And the answer is yes. It's going to come back around and it's going to be greater than ever. It's going to be easier than ever. It's going to be more reliable than ever. And I think it's really going to just be a beautiful union. I think this is really sweet. So that is it for your reading, my pile threes. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll talk to you again soon. Take care. If you selected pile 4, the mentor, welcome to your reading. Let's find out what your life will be like 1 year from now. So we're starting off your spread with the Hanged Man. And this is really interesting because I do almost feel like your life from a year from now is going to feel internally very different from what it is now, but it might not look that different on the outside. And I say that because the Hangman is this card that's all about kind of internal change. It might not look like there's a lot going on in the background. I mean, you can see on this card, this person on the card is literally hanging upside down. They're in this state of suspension. So there's not anything happening externally, but internally they're really learning how to cope with discomfort, how to become at peace with their current circumstances. And so I feel like for you, the major shift that's going to happen for you over the next year is being able to overcome your mental hurdles. And I think that's also being represented here by this Ace of Wands and the Eight of Swords. This is saying once you let go of the need to control, because there are things in our lives that we can't control, right? We cannot control another person's opinion of us. We cannot control another person's actions. We cannot control circumstances that are beyond us. All we can do is control our own actions, and you should be showing up, authentically, fully, morally, with integrity every day. But how a person reacts to that doesn't really say anything about you. So you have to have confidence in the way that you are moving through the world. And I feel like for some of you, you are really not okay with being misunderstood. I feel like if someone doesn't like you or misinterprets something that you say, you feel currently like you have an obligation to prove yourself to this person, to prove that you're good, to prove that you're worthy of friendship or being liked or whatever it is, instead of just allowing yourself to be misunderstood. And that is something that is hard to get over, because it's difficult to know that people don't like you. I think this is a problem that a lot of famous people have too. So obviously when you're famous, you're being subjected to a lot more criticism and people who will just not like you because they don't like you. And there are celebrities who I think have a hard time accepting that, instead of detaching and saying, even though this is my work or my personality, my brand that's being projected, the way that people interact with it really doesn't have anything to do with me. And, being able to separate yourself from people's reaction to you is really a learned skill, but it does feel like something that you come into over this next year. And with the Ace of Wands, I feel like once you have this realization that, I don't really care how people are perceiving me or what I'm doing or if I'm being quote unquote good, you have this kind of renewed spark, this renewed interest in life and doing what you want, this renewed creativity with the Ace of Wands. And this could even be something small scale. Like if you're someone that's younger, let's say that you're like in high school watching this, maybe you're really afraid of like standing out at school. Maybe you feel like you have to fit in, you need to dress the same way as everyone else because you don't want to draw attention to yourself. And then you come to this realization that you would rather express yourself and, just do the weird thing because it's what makes you happy. And if someone doesn't get it, they don't get it. But the people who do get it are going to love it. So, it can be something as small as that, or it can be kind of this larger existential thing, like I said, like with famous people. So, most of you, this will be small scale, but it will be like a really freeing mental shift for you. So you will feel a lot more open, a lot more able to live authentically within yourself. And with this Eight of Swords in the middle of your spread, Eight of Swords is all about self-limiting beliefs. You see in this card, it's someone who is sitting on the ground, they've got a blindfold on, they've got these 8 swords around them, and because they've got the blindfold on, they feel like they're trapped. They feel like, I'll never escape this, but it would be pretty simple to just like lift the palms up, remove the blindfold, and realize, I can just walk out of this circle. But it's hard to know that this is something that you can easily bypass when you still have the blinders on. And so I feel like through this discomfort, through a lot of self-reflection over the next year, you come to the realization that I'm not stuck. Like I have so many options and so many choices, and I don't have to conform to appease anyone. I don't have to make myself smaller to be liked. I would rather be who I want to be. And I think that there is one person in particular in your life within the next year who really supports this and helps you grow into this. And this person is being represented by the Queen of Swords. So this person could be a Libra or have a prominent Libra placement in their natal chart. It would be their sun sign, moon sign, rising sign, or Venus sign. But generally they're embodying this Libra energy, which is someone who is very diplomatic, someone who's very fair, but they're not to be like pushed over. Like they can see both sides of a situation, but they're also can really advocate for themselves. These are people that value relationships, but they also value beauty and selfhood and authenticity. And so it feels like this person is probably someone who is older than you. It could be, like I said, if you're a student, maybe you have like a teacher who makes you guys read books where you feel like really inspired. Maybe it's an older sibling or a new friend that you meet who's very like much themselves all the time, and it just inspires you to loosen up and allow yourself to try new things and not be so concerned with how other people are perceiving you, or if you're going against the grain, whatever it is. Like a good example of this would be, I just thought of the movie Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. So Lindsay Lohan's character is kind of this out there, very eccentric, very loud, very spotlight on her kind of person, and she befriends this girl who's like very regimented, very type A, very scared of going against the grain in any way, and she kind of brings out a more adventurous side to this girl and gives her the confidence to kind of like stand up for herself when she's being disrespected or bullied, and to try new things that she otherwise wouldn't have done. And so that's kind of the feeling here. And so I think this person plays a really pivotal role in your life in the next year. and in your personal development. And with the Five of Swords, at the end of your spread here, if you look at the body language, the Queen of Swords is like in front of, almost protecting you from this Five of Swords energy. And the Five of Swords typically has a negative connotation. The Five of Swords is this card that's all about conflict. And so I think with this person sitting in front of it, blocking you from this conflict, it's almost like this person teaches you to pick your battles. So instead of trying to prove your worth, to prove that you deserve something, you just allow people to doubt you, because it doesn't matter. The people who want to be in your life are going to show up for you consistently. The people who don't are not. But, why would you want the love or support from someone if you have to beg for it? If you get used to like licking crumbs off a knife, then you're going to be satisfied with that when someone out there is going to offer you a 4-course meal. And, that applies to any kind of relationship, really, like romantic, friendship, whatever. But stop trying to make yourself smaller or to people please in order to maintain friendships where you are not receiving the kind of support that you are offering in return. Because you will find that once you're committed to being misunderstood or to being misinterpreted, you open yourself to be a lot freer in your self-expression. And this whole message is coming through in the pile marker. You selected the Mentor. On this card, we have an owl. Owls are symbols of wisdom, and so I feel like that goes with the Queen of Swords in your pile. This is this person that's coming into your life who's going to help you come to this realization that you don't need to shrink yourself to be smaller. You don't have to be good. You don't have to fit anyone else's criteria of how you should be. You just need to show up as the best version of yourself and do what makes you happy. This person is going to be like a mentor-like figure for you and really allow you to blossom into this kind of more evolved version of yourself by the end of the next, or by a year from now. So for your tea leaf fortune cards, we have man, and this is dealings or relationship with a man. So for some of you, this mentor figure could be a man. For others of you, it could be a man that maybe got you into this place where you feel like you have to shrink. And so I'll give you an example of this. Let's say that you were dating a man, you were in a relationship with a man, and this person constantly criticized you. They told you you're not enough, you're not attractive enough, whatever it is. And maybe you're currently in that relationship, maybe you're out of that relationship, but because of that constant feedback and you really internalizing that, you do feel like maybe you're not enough as you currently are. And so it feels like you have this person come into your life and tell you, well, you actually are enough. Like, why would you want to impress this person who's never satisfied? Like, it doesn't really have anything to do with you. You actually have a lot to give. And so it's very freeing for you to kind of release the blindfold that this person has put on you. But again, that's just for some of you. But there could be, a man involved either as a mentor, maybe the catalyst for these self-limiting beliefs that you have been carrying. And then we have dragon. This says beware of self-delusion. To me, that really goes with that 8 of Swords, which again is the card of self-limiting beliefs. And so, the dragon breathes fire. I feel like you're with this Ace of Wands. Wands are the fire suit in tarot. And so it's almost like you are using this spark, this realization of everything that you could be, of all the potential you have, to burn out the flame of these self-limiting beliefs. And so this is really positive. Again, I feel like this is much more of a mental and emotional shift for you over the next year than anything really like large happening externally. but I think it's going to be very pivotal for your growth and your mindset. And so it's going to be a very good next year for you. So congratulations to you, my Pile 4s. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll talk to you again soon. Take care.